As we begin 2022 and look to the coming year, we must remember to look to God on how, in all seasons, we can partner with Him in order to stay the course.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. We're glad you're here, and a special welcome to all of you if you're new with us. Whether you're online or here in the room, a special welcome. We're glad you're with us. If you're online, there's a little contact button up on the right there after service. If you click that, let us know you're here. If there's any questions we could answer or anything you need at all, prayer requests, praise reports, you can let us know online. Here in the room, there's a communicator card right on the rack in front of you. Just fill that out. Let us know you're here. Anything we can do to serve you, questions you might have, put that on the communicator card. It's our best way to serve you as well. Members, if there's any changes or prayer requests, praise reports, whether you're new, you've been here 30 years. We want to pray together, stand together, and we love to hear what God's doing in your life. So put that on the communicator cards, and you can drop those in the tithe and offering containers on your way out. There's blue boxes by every door. You can put them in there, as well as tithes and offerings. Make that part of your worship today. It's a joy to bring your first tenth back. That's what tithe means. So bringing that to God is also part of our worship, and it's a joy to do that. So you can make that part of your worship today as well. All right, if you got your Bibles, John Chapter 2, we're going to start there, so go ahead and get them out. Before we do, I wanted to just kind of update you. Those of you that were, many of you helped us move yesterday. Jen and I moved to our new home yesterday, so thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't have done it without you, and we're so grateful for you, tired, exhausted, and all those things all at the same time. I did find my socks and underwear. Thank you. I appreciate that. I found them. I'm okay, so we're ready to go. But we really appreciate it. There were so many funny moments moving. If you've ever moved, there's always things you remember. Well, the guys, we were moving this big water softener down the basement. It took 4 of us to get it up the stairs. And there was a series of grunting and different things that happened on the stairwell going upstairs. And so I was like, this is like caveman. We're lifting and shoving and And one of the guys says, wait, I'm stuck up against the wall. I'm like, hey, that's 2 grunts. And so we got up the stairs. And so we'll just remember, we almost died going down the stairs. Not because it was so heavy, but just because we were laughing so hard and we could get up the stairs. It was fun. All right. This morning on your seats, there's a little pledge card for you. It's our Community Blessed project. All around the room, you'll see signs. This is our Ridge Park initiative, and we've been talking to you. But if you're new with us, we're building a park right off McLaren and Cliffline, right on the corner there. That's something we've been working on for a few years. We had to put it on, not so much a hold, but we're blessed with a miracle of Awaken, so we jumped over to Awaken and completed that, and now we're jumping back onto the park. And so I just want to invite you in, whether you're new, you've been here a while. Many of you have been given to this last year, and we're going to continue this year. And so if you just do me a favor, take this pledge card. I'm not asking you to do anything today except for take it home and pray. That's it. So we need to hear from God. This is above our tithe. This is an offering that we give. But just pray. Ask God for what your part is. And please know the amount is between you and the Lord, and they're all important. It doesn't matter if you give $1 or $1 million. Look, it's more important that we are faithful to God in whatever He's asking us to do. And so if you will just do me a favor and take this home and pray about that, and then we're going to bring our offerings on March 6th. So we have some time to pray. Take these home. We'll have these available each weekend for you. But on March 6th, it's on the bottom of your card. You'll see we'll bring these back. So bring your pledge card on March 6th and your first offering. We call that our first fruit. So give your best of what you can do, and then maybe throughout the year you're paying every month or every week, or some of you do stocks or different things. Again, it's not about the method. What's important is what God told you to do, and seeing Him use this. This park is going to be a wonderful blessing to our community. That's really what we believe. Is it's for the community. It's going to bless us on the trail. It really is going to be an amazing park. So again, just take these home. And what are we doing first? Pray. There you go. So pray, and then we'll bring these back on March 6th, okay? All right, John chapter 2, stay the course. We got 2 more weeks in this series. I really love today's message. You're going to really enjoy this one. It's one of the ones I haven't given this in a while, but it's one of those that's going to challenge you. How many like to be challenged? How many of you don't like to be challenged? You might want to head out the door. I'm just kidding. It'd be good. It's a good challenge message. But it's also very, very relevant. It's going to, it's not going to, it will take you shifting your mindset, the way you'll look at things. But I believe what I've been hoping for, praying for, in fact, our prayer teams were meeting this morning, I really pray that your faith is elevated. Faith is a gift of the Holy Spirit. I pray that he just increases it. He brings, not only just an urgency, but just an awakening and just a feeling for you. Really is going to be a great message for you. It's called Stay the Course is our series. We've been in this series for a couple of weeks. This is where the vision came from. Again, you can catch any of these online. If you're online watching or here in the room, you can watch them all for free on our website. But stay the course. We've been talking about how, as believers, it's so important that we stay the course. There's many things in life that are going to try to distract you. The enemy's going to throw curveballs at you. He's going to get you to think, or even in your own mind, you might think, oh, I'm not worthy, or I can't do this, or God doesn't need me. All those things are untrue. God loves you, died for you, and he's chosen you for this specific work called the kingdom, which is bigger than all of us, but it's amazing when we do it together. And today, I'm calling today's message, What's in Your Hands? So what's in your hands? Say it with me. What's in your hands? Put your hands up there. What's in there? Nothing right now. A couple pens. All right. Now, it could be, when I say what's in your hands, it could be a literal, like there's something in your hands that God's going to use. He did that with Moses, right? He said, Moses, what's in your hands? A staff, and he uses a staff to do amazing things. But it also is just, do you realize that everything you have is from God? God's blessed you. He's blessed you. What we don't want to do is have the mentality of it's mine. It's mine, mine, mine. I understand that God's blessed you with it, and he's blessed me with it, but it's all his. I mean, if he didn't make you and me, he didn't make what we see, what we have, where we are, our bodies, our abilities, our strengths, our talents, the trees, all these things, if he didn't make any of those, we have nothing. This happened first service too. All right, let me wash this down. John chapter 2. Take some time finding it. Okay, hold on. All right, John chapter 2. What's in your hands? When you think about what's in your hands, I want you to think about it as who you are, what God's blessed you with. And not what you're going to have, not what you hope to have, not what your neighbor has, but where you're at. This isn't necessarily about finances or resources. This is really about your relationship with God and how he uses everything. Today I want to talk about miracles. And before I begin talking about miracles and showing you miracles in John 2, 4, and 6, first I need to know is, do you believe that Jesus does miracles today? Yes. You do. Put a hand up there if you believe that, all right? Listen, I'm glad I see a lot of hands. Now, let me ask you maybe a deeper question. Do you believe God will do a miracle in your life? Or are you at a place where you believe in miracles, it's just not going to be me. It's going to be somebody else. Now, this message is not about, well, if I get a miracle, then, because let me just tell you these if-thens, God, if you do this, then I'll do that. They never work out. Never do, right? They just never work out. Now, God always holds his end of the bargain, but we rarely hold our end of the bargain when we're attaching it to something. But this is just a good God. We just sang about the goodness. This is how good God is. God has the ability. With Jesus, all things are possible, right? Through Christ, all things are possible. This is just who he is. Now, miracles can happen to maybe in your life, in my life. I promise you, miracles are happening every day. First of all, if you're here today and you've given your life to Jesus, or you're watching online and look, the miracle is you're saved. God has saved you. That's a miracle. He saved you from yourself. He took your sin. He died on the cross for you. That's miraculous. If that's the only miracle, that's good enough for all of us. But God is so good, and he does amazing things. And I just want you to see there's these themes in miracles that are pretty prominent, and I hope you're going to see them. I'm going to read 3 different miracles today, but I think you're going to see some patterns. And the first pattern is, who's doing the miracle? Jesus is, not us. We have if you can dictate what the miracle is going to be, it's not a miracle. That's just man doing his thing, all right? Miracles you can't explain. It's kind of, you don't wake up going, okay, this is going to be the miracle today. It's something God does, and he just shows up in your everyday life. You're going to see this in every miracle. It's everyday life. Now, whether you like the life or you don't like the life or the situation or the circumstance, listen, this is what Jesus is so amazing about. He loves you. He cares about what you're going through, and he uses your everyday life, and he uses you, but he's doing the miracle, but you do have a part to play, and I have a part to play. So I only have one point today, and as we look at these miracles, I want you to just kind of ask God what he's saying to you. But the one point is Jesus is only concerned about what's in your hand at the moment. He's only concerned about what's in your hand at the moment. He's not concerned about what you don't have. He's not concerned about, if you got the job or not, or if you got the degree, or if you graduated school, or if you do good on the test, or if the girlfriend says yes, or the boyfriend says no. He's not concerned about, he's concerned about what's happening right here and right now. Miracles are dictated by three things. First, faith in God. We've got to have faith. You have to believe. And you have to obey. Now, this isn't obedience like grudging or begrudging, God, okay, I'll do it. But realizing that we have an amazing God, and it's fun to follow him. It's fun to listen to his word. It's fun to, when he asks you to do something, it's fun to be part of this living God and his kingdom and his work and his plan. It really is. And so I don't know where you're at today. Maybe you're not serving Jesus today. Let me ask you even maybe a deeper question. Why? You're missing out. Every miracle in the Bible was done while he was doing ministry. He was going town to town in people's lives. He was doing kingdom work. He was doing ministry. When I say doing ministry, look, you're living life for Jesus. Serving here on Sunday mornings, great example of, look, God does miracles all the time. In fact, a couple weeks ago, we were doing our surf projects. We were in New Brighton, and one of the guys wanted to play guitar, but he couldn't lift his arm. And so our worship team and others laid hands on them, prayed for him. And in the service, he's like, hey, look. And he played guitar that morning. Miracle. Now, it wasn't about us. Now, we had a part to play. We laid hands. We believed. We had faith. We obeyed and prayed for him. But let's be clear. Jesus is the one that healed him. He's the one that did the miracle. But do you see, it happened when we were engaged, when we were serving, when we were doing the work of the kingdom. And doing that here on Sunday morning, if you're not plugged in, why? I think we're all sitting here saying, I would love to see a miracle happen, whether it's in my life or I'm watching it happen right in front of me. I think we would all love to see that. Now, that's not why we serve Jesus. Let's be very clear. Miracles have happened already in your life. You're saved by the grace of God. You've been saved. He's blessed you. And look, if you're listening in today and you haven't given your life to Jesus, that's where you start. It starts with belief, it starts with faith, and it starts with obedience. There's only one time you'll find in the Bible as we read about miracles that Jesus, and it's not that he couldn't do the miracle because he wasn't powerful enough or he didn't have the ability or something was too strong that he couldn't do it. The only thing that deterred him from doing a miracle, and by the way, he walked into his hometown and this is what he said, I want to heal, I wanted to heal. But I couldn't. Why? Because of unbelief. So you see, for many of us, we believe that God is still doing miracles today. We just don't believe it's happening in my life or in us. That's unbelief too. I hope you have the expectation. I hope you have the hope. I hope you come here on Sunday mornings with an expectation that we're going to be in the presence of God. We're going to be worshiping the holy God, the living God. And whatever's on the table from his perspective, from heaven to earth, I'm okay with. I hope that's your perspective. We're not checking boxes. We're worshiping Jesus. We're coming to be in his presence. We're coming to serve and love, especially those in the household of faith. That's where the vision started, right? Especially those in the household of faith. We are going to do good to all. But all the way through as we live for Jesus, look, he's a great God. He can do whatever he wants. And by the way, it's always good. In John chapter 2, there's a wedding. I don't know if you've heard this story before in the Bible, if you're new to the scriptures, or maybe you're watching online and you've never heard this story, there's a wedding. His mom's in the wedding. There's people, obviously, Jesus knows in the wedding, but Jesus is there. And they run out of wine in the wedding. So and many of us have been to weddings, right? Here's an everyday situation where it's a wedding, you're going to the wedding, and they run out of wine. And this is where it starts in John chapter 2. It says this, the wine supply ran out during the festivities, so Jesus' mother told him they have no more wine. Look at Jesus' response. Dear woman, that's not our problem. My time has not yet come. He's speaking about his crucifixion. But his mother told the servants, this is faith and belief right here, do whatever he tells you. Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars used for Jewish ceremonial washing. These weren't wine pots, people. These were pots they used to wash their hands. Each could hold about 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told the servants, fill the jars with water. And when the jars had been filled, he said, now dip some out, take it to the master's ceremonies. So the servants, listen to this, followed his instructions. They obeyed. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that it was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew, he called the bridegroom over. A host always serves the best wine first, he said. Then when everyone has had a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine. But you've kept the best until now. How many of you know when Jesus makes wine, it's the best? It's the best. You can't go buy that at the store, right? So here's an everyday story. And I just want to encourage you. What's in your hand? Jesus didn't say, hey, disciples, come on, let's have a big, it's Super Bowl. Let's get in a big huddle real quick. We need to go clear the wines and spirits stores and get the best wine you can and bring it back. That's not what happened. In fact, he looked around. When I say what's in your hand, look, he just looked at the resources that were right there. He didn't tell them they needed to be somewhere else or they needed to have somewhere else or wait till you get this job or when you have this career or you get this degree or you get this diploma, whatever it may be. He didn't wait for that situation. He said, what do you have right now in your hand? What is in your hand? He looked and says, there's some water pots. Do you have some water pots? I'm sure you do. There's some water pots. Go get some water and bring them back to me. Look, you've got to know that Jesus is totally okay with where you are. I hope you're content with where you are. He's okay with what you have. He's not asking you to create something. He's not asking you to be at a place or to have something or to compare yourself to somebody else. He's saying, what do you have right now? What do you have right now? What is in your possession? What gifts do you have? What talents do you have? What resources have I blessed you with? See, at this wedding, all he did was find some water pots, and he told those people that work in the servants, go get some water, put it in there. The miracle was that God made it into wine. How did he do that? Do you know? You see, that's what a miracle is. I don't know how he did it, and we'll never be able to know how he did it because that's what God does. He's the miracle maker. But the reality is, you and I, we had to look at what Jesus said. What did he say? What do you have? You got some pots? Great. Go take those pots, go get some water and bring them back to me. Faith, belief, and obedience. The servants had to make the choice. Now, could they have said, I'm not doing it, Jesus? Absolutely, they could. I'm not doing it. You go get the water, Jesus. That's what we tell Jesus sometimes, right? You go get the water. Look, Jesus doesn't need us or any of those water pots. He could have made wine stream from heaven if he wanted to. But he chooses you. He chooses me. He chooses us. He wants us to be part of his kingdom, part of his work, part of the process. He wants you to look what's in your hand. Maybe it's some water pots. He wants you to serve him, to have faith and believe that you could take a water pot and put water in it and bring it back to God. Let me just tell you, his mom and these servants didn't wake up saying, okay, Jesus is going to come between 12 and 2. We're going to run out of wine, and then he's going to do what he does. There was no expectation here. This was everyday life. A problem happened. Do you have problems in your life? Absolutely you do. There's no formula. Like, we're not going to throw a wedding every Sunday just so he can make wine. That doesn't happen like that. In fact, if there's a pot out there, go get some water, dip your hand in it, and drink it. What do you have? Water. It's only miraculous when God says what he's going to do. And when you have the faith and you begin to believe and you begin to obey, look, it's so fun serving Jesus. It's so fun doing kingdom work. It's so fun serving one another. Look, if you're not plugged in and you're not involved, why? You're missing out on what God is doing in you. This is not about me. This isn't like, hey, do we have help? Do we have needs? Absolutely, but that's not what it's about. This is about you growing in your faith. I promise you, when you serve Jesus, you're going to grow. Your faith is going to increase. You're going to see God do what only God. Are you going to be disappointed if you're serving Jesus in this church on a Sunday morning and you go pray or talk to somebody and a miracle happens? You're going to be like, Jesus, why didn't it happen to me? No, you're going to be encouraged. I'm rooting for you. You're rooting for me. I'm rooting for you. At the end of the day, it's all about him. And if God's doing something in your life, I am ecstatic. Aren't you ecstatic? Aren't you happy? Don't you love seeing God be God regardless of who we are? The reality is he's the same. He's good to all of us. He died for every one of us. And when he's blessing you and he's doing a miracle for you and he's saving you over here and he's freeing you over here and he's doing all of these things, how encouraging is that? That we get to be part of this kingdom work, this miracle that's happening every day in all of our lives. Look, I want to be engaged in that. Look, we do the grind in this world all day long and we don't see any fruit. With Jesus, nothing returns void, nothing. It all has a plan. It all has a purpose. When God sends his word out, when you hear a word like this, it always has a plan and a purpose. It never ever returns void. I don't know about you, but I've wasted a lot of time in my life doing things that don't matter. But not Jesus, always. And that's why being part of his kingdom and his work and serving, whether it's in this church or you're at work or you're in your family, you're at your home, or you're in your neighborhoods, look, it's all part. Jesus was walking around city to city, walking into people's lives and doing these miracles. The next one I want to talk about is in John chapter 4. Now look at this one. This one's a little bit different, but hang with me. John chapter 4. It's in the same town where he just turned water to wine, the scriptures tell us, starting in verse, let me turn my page there, sorry. Starting in verse 46 of John chapter 4. It says, so Jesus came again to Cana of Galilee where he had made the water into wine, and there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick. When he heard that Jesus had come out to Judea and to Galilee, he went to him and implored him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then Jesus said to him, unless you people see signs and wonders, you'll by no means believe. The nobleman said to him, sir, come down here before my child dies. Jesus said to him, go your way, your son lives. So the man believed the word. Listen, here it is. The man believed not only the word that Jesus said, but believed Jesus, the word. And he went his way. And when he was now going down, his servants met him and said, saying, your son lives. Then he inquired, watch this, of them, what hour, what time? What time did he live? What time was he healed? And they said, at the 7th hour, the fever left him. So his father knew it was at the same hour. Let's just be clear. It was the same exact moment Jesus said, your son lives healed. And he himself believed, and his whole household. Now, this one's a little different, isn't it? I love Jesus' statement, first of all, and I'm not trying to be critical, but he confronted us. Unless you see a sign or a miracle, you won't believe. Jesus isn't being hard, he's not being angry, but let's just be real. God has been doing miracles since day one. He threw bread from heaven and they still didn't believe. He had birds flying ham to somebody, to Elijah, and they didn't believe. He had David conquer a giant with a stone and they didn't believe. Look, I'm sure God's done things in your life and you still didn't believe. So let me just be very clear. This is not about if God does a miracle, then I'll believe. Listen, God is going to do miracles when God does miracles because he's God. We serve God because he died for us first, that he loved us first, that he saved us. He died for our sins and he forgave us. That's why you serve Jesus. He deserves our worship. He deserves our praise. He deserves our lives. But he's still a good God that's going to do amazing things that you can't plan, predict, or expect. And this nobleman came and said, my son is going to die. Jesus can't heal my son. Jesus didn't say, well, you need to talk to your PCP. You need to make a meeting, talk to your PCP, get him some fluids, get him some medication. He didn't say, well, what stage of the vaccination is he in? That's not what he said. He just said, your son lives right now. And that's it. Now the nobleman had a part too, right? He had to literally hoof it back. His servants both probably had this expectation, this anticipation. The servants are running this way, and he's running this way, and they meet, and they say, your son lives. When did it happen? Tell me what time it happened. 7 o'clock, 7th hour. That's exactly when Jesus said the words. Faith, belief, obedience. Third miracle is found in John chapter 6. This is the feeding of 5,000. I don't know if you've heard this before, but in John chapter 6, Jesus has this compassion to feed people that he's been teaching all day long. And it starts out in verse 5. It says this, then Jesus lifted up his eyes, seeing a great multitude coming toward him. He said to Philip, where shall we buy bread that these may eat? But he said to him, to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered, said, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there's a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many? Then Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in a number of about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves in which he had given thanks. He distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples took to those sitting down, and likewise the fish, listen to this, as much as they wanted. Let's be very clear. A couple fish and a couple loaves of bread. This was a boy's lunch. And he's feeding thousands of people with what's in his hand. So when they were filled, please don't miss these verses. So when they were filled, I don't know how the miracle happened. Did it happen when they were eating it? It filled their belly? Or were they just plucking and it was just reappearing? I don't know. But it clearly says they were filled. Some of you are going to celebrate the Super Bowl today. How many of you are going to do some eating? Wings, dips, chickens, all kinds of stuff, right? How many of you are going to probably eat a little too much? You ever eat so much where you're like, that wasn't good? That's what we're talking about here. They ate till they were full, till they were filled. Now watch this. And he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. Therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of 5 barley loaves that were left over of those who had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Jesus did, this is truly the prophet who's come into the world. What they were saying, this is truly the Messiah. This is Jesus. Jesus isn't concerned about what you don't have. Part of unbelief says, well, Jesus can't use me because I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I don't know the Bible good enough, or I haven't done enough good works, or I missed Sunday service, or I got a flat because I didn't read the Bible today. Listen, there's so many excuses we make. What's in your hand right now? You see, when he fed 5,000 people, I love that he asked Philip the question, Philip, I want to feed all these people. Philip was the accountant at the time. Philip, I want to feed them. And Philip's counting the money. He's counting what's in the coffers, right? He's like, Jesus, oh, look at there. That's all I got. There ain't enough money in there. 200 denarii is not going to feed 5,000 people. It's impossible. And I love what Jesus said. I said it to what? To test him. What was he testing? His faith, his belief. He was testing where Philip was. And I love that it didn't come from Philip. I'm sure Philip left that day more than encouraged, more than blown away. Philip says, we don't have the money, Jesus. And then Simon Peter's brother shows up and says, hey, I got a boy with the lunch. He's got some fish and some loaves. And Jesus says, he doesn't say anything. He just says, look, sometimes it's not even what you have in your hand, it's what somebody else has in their hand. Philip says it's not possible. We don't have the money. Peter's brother comes over and says, hey, this kid's got a lunch. And Jesus says, that's it, sit them all down. Sit them all down. And the miracle happens with a small lunch. Who knows? This could be the kid that had his lunch stolen all the time. You ever have that situation, kids in school? Someone stealing your lunch? This could have been the kid that got his lunch stolen, and here's the disciple saying, kid, give me your lunch. But let me just tell you something. This kid's been spoken about for thousands of years. This kid's been spoken about in church after church. What's in your hand? Don't get so consumed on, well, I don't have enough, or I don't have that, or God can't use me, or I can't be used like that. Yes, you can. A lot of times God's just showing up in everyday situations. He's at a service. Jesus just was preaching. He had compassion. He wanted to feed the crowd. That was it. And what was in his hand, what was in someone else's hand was just a small lunch. Certainly you have a small lunch, don't you? Certainly you probably have some water pots. Certainly you've probably been in a situation that says, I need Jesus. All I have left is Jesus. Certainly you've been in all of those situations. Look, I just want you to see, Jesus showed up in every single one of them. And he wasn't concerned about what you don't have. What he was asking is, what do you have? Do we have some lunch? Do we have some pots? He's concerned about your faith, your belief, and if you obey, that's it. Let God be the miracle worker. Let him do the miracle. You just be open. Don't hold everything like this, close-fisted. It's mine, mine, mine. God, you can't have that. It's mine. I don't know about you, but if that's where you are, and all I have is one small lunch, I'd rather open my hands and let God bless thousands of people with my little lunch than sit there and say, no, that's my fish. That's my permanis, brothers. What's in your hand? You see, it's so crucial that we get to a place where we say, we're part of this kingdom work. That's where the miracles happen. That's where God does his best work, is when the church is unified together. We're serving one another. We're loving one another. And it's not just about us. We're here to serve anybody. We'll do good to all people, but especially to one another. Look, we're here to share this good news of Jesus. And along the way, we have a great God. We have an amazing God. We have a God who is always good. And there's going to be things that happen, miracles that happen, things that we can't predict. On a Sunday morning, things are going to happen that you didn't expect to happen, because that's the God that we serve. You've got to be part of this team, this kingdom team. This is not about Westridge or John or me. This is about Jesus. We're here to serve the one and only true living God. And along the way, we're going to see the living God be who he is. And it's always good. It's always a blessing. There's miracles. There's salvation. There's people that are hurting, and God is going to come along and free them and help them and bless them. And not only that, but he's going to use their hurt, he's going to use their pain, and he's going to shift it for good. And then they're going to help people that were in the same situation as them. He does it all the time. If you're not serving, why? Why? I know God can do it without us. He's bigger than us. But he chooses to do it with you. And every one of these miracles, people were part of the miracle. We don't do the miracle, but we're part of gathering the pots. We're part of using what's in our hands. We're part of gathering the lunch. We're part of sitting them down in the thousands. We're part of distributing the food. We're part of collecting the food. Did you notice how many baskets were left over? 12. Why? Because there's 12 tribes. Do we want to keep going? There's a lot more meat here than you're seeing in the scriptures. But you get to be part of that. This work is so much bigger than you and me, but when we're part of something, when we're part of what God's doing, this is why Jesus says, not my will, but I want your will to be done. The reality is he should have been dead in the ground, but the miracle was that he resurrected from the grave. This is so fun, church. It's so fun to serve Jesus. It really is. This life is but a vapor. compared to eternity, right? We're going to spend eternity with Jesus forever and ever and ever. The amount of time that we're here on earth is really, really short, but it's valuable and it's important. And while we're here on this earth, God is sending his word and his love and his blessing and his miracles down from heaven right here to earth. And who's he sending it to? You, the church. It's only through the church. And so I just want to pray for you. I hope, does this increase your faith? Are you challenged? What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Tell me, what's in your hand? I don't know what it is. I hope you're content with what you have because you're blessed. You're blessed. God can use you right where you are, who you are, right where you are, whatever you have. Notice in all of these things, God wasn't like, now you got to go raise 20 more thousand before I do this miracle. No, you didn't get the vaccine. I'm sorry. That wasn't what he did. That's us. That's us. But notice how every miracle, water to wine, how many of you think everybody in that party remembered that? How many of you think that nobleman remembered for the rest of his life that his son was walking right next to him? How many of you think that every person of that 5,000 crowd plus the disciples that were there remembered that day? You see? God's always going to amaze you. You're always going to be astonished. And that's why serving him is so much fun. His ways are higher than ours. His thoughts are higher than ours. And by the way, good is only known by a good God, someone who's never sinned. God is always good. You won't find the good that you're looking for in this world. You're going to find it in Jesus. And you're going to find it by doing his kingdom work. And you're going to find it by being the church. You're going to find how amazing of a God is by being part of the vision and the kingdom work that he's given us. Stand to your feet. I just want to pray for you. So where does it start this morning? Faith, belief, and obedience. The miracle's always Jesus' part. Look, he does that work. With us, it starts with faith, belief, and obedience. This morning, if you don't know Jesus, this is your time. Outside, we've got a new life board. And what that's for is every time you look, if you're here today and you haven't committed your life to Jesus, now's the time. It starts with faith and it starts with belief. We don't serve Jesus for the miracle. We serve Jesus because he saved us and he died for us and he loves us. And this morning, if you haven't given your life to Jesus, now's your time. You let somebody know. Let whoever brought you, you can let me know. Let our staff and our volunteers know. But it starts with you saying, Jesus, I want to make you Lord of my life. I want what I heard today. I want you to be part. Look, there's things that are happening in my life, and I need you to show up. I need you to help me. I need you to give me a decision or an answer or reveal yourself to me. If that's where you are, I promise you, you're not here by accident. Jesus is speaking to you. Every eye closed. Don't worry about your neighbor. This is between you and God. Lord, I just thank you for everybody here. Lord, if there's anybody listening in, whether they're online or in this room, and they haven't given their life to Jesus, now is the time. Lord, you say in your word, today is the day of salvation. Today's the day. If that's you, you just want to give your life today to the Lord, or maybe you've been running away from God and you just want to come back. If that's you, will you just put your hand up? Nobody's looking around. Just put it up there real quickly so I can see it. I'm not going to embarrass you. Just put your hand up. Is there anybody here? Lord, I just thank you. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for leading us. Lord, thank you for blessing us. Lord, whatever's in my hand is yours. Lord, whatever you've blessed me with is yours. Lord, today, increase my faith, increase my belief, increase my relationship with you. Lord, let me see you in the way that I just read in these scriptures. Lord, I know I can't recreate events, and I can't recreate things that have happened in the Bible, but what I can do is have faith, and I can believe, and I can obey. And God, I know when I do that, and God, this isn't about if I do that, then you'll do that. But God, this is about knowing that you're always good. You know what's best for us. God, no weapon that's formed against me will prosper. That's what your word says. Lord, I know that you're always going to be with me. You're not going to forsake me. God, I know that your plan is to prosper and bless and not to harm. God, I know that eternal life is found in only you, Jesus, and only you. There's no way to the Father except through you. God, I know that all these struggles and problems, Lord, maybe even the sin or the bad decisions I'm making, Lord, it's because I don't know you. It's because I'm running from you. It's because I feel like, God, you're going to judge me, but I know that's not true. At least I know now it's not true. God, this room is full of imperfect people, but we're looking to a perfect God. And that's a beautiful opportunity for you to reveal yourself in a way that only you can do. Lord, we see you. We acknowledge you this morning. And Lord, with our own lips, with our own words, with our own hearts, we say, Jesus, you are my Savior. You're my Lord. You're my Messiah. My life is yours. Use what's in my hand, Lord. Use my family, use my marriage, use my kids. Lord, use me. I'm your son. I'm your daughter. And I'm so thankful that you saved me right here, right now. In Jesus' name, everyone said.